Well, I'm just gonna start. Anyway, I feel like I haven't gotten too personal on here about, who I am, my practice, my belief system, so, basically so far nobody's been able to beat me in me breaking down other belief systems. And when they're met with logic, none of it makes sense. So, I'm going to claim victory here. I'm not apologizing for anything, nor am I taking anything down. So, that's that. Oh yes, the tree of life and what it means. Basically, the tree of life is your blueprint to becoming one of these ascended masters, like Lucifer had already prophesied that he could also become one of these ascended masters, but somebody did not want all the other angels to be aware of this. So the ones who wanted to start from the bottom and go to the top went with him, and became someone better, became something more than what they were, and I believe that everybody is more than their physical body, and knowing that you don't have to be bound to the roots of the tree, and you can actually ascend and transform and shed old skin. It is a very magical experience indeed. But the thing about it is, when I'll put the picture somewhere, but when you look at the tree of life and you see the hanged man this is my right side, on the right, you can see like the hanged man hanging upside down, and you can see him looking at the star that's upside down, but it's still, and he's realizing basically that oh, this at the bottom is a star and that at the top is a star as well. So what makes it any different from being on the same equilibrium as the light side of things? You cannot build a house from the roof down. That's not possible. You have to go from the bottom and you have to go all the way to the top. That means you have to go through the shadows and come into the light, right? And biting the apple is an expansion within your consciousness. And that's exactly what Adam and Eve did. And then when they became aware of the fact that hey, I think we should have clothes on here or something, protecting something. And then, this man told them, no, you can't have clothes and you need to get out, since you're aware of the fact that you don't have anything on. It's when you realize where the corruption really is, and you start to break out of the gates and break through limitations, that's when you can start to manifest properly, because it goes beyond limits. Because you've conquered your fears already. That's what I'm saying. You have to nip these things in the bud before because then you'll have blockages in your manifestation. first you have to appreciate the little things. You know, you gotta learn to, you know, give what you want back as well, you know. Maintaining, you know, maintaining a good character so that you can receive dharma, you know, instead of cultivating karma within your reality. So, with that being said, occult practices are also implemented in Hinduism, which is where the Kundalini or has, you know, is rooted in, you know. And once you realize that, well, the way I break it down is that the occult is the opposing cult culture. And what that means is, like, the people who see through the corruption, and people who are cast out because of it, and have certain things projected onto them, calling them the devil, when really they're scared of people like me who are exposing them. Because with the whole thing of, you need clothes, well, get out then, that kind of thing, this opens the door for all of these pastors and everything to say that they're like, oh, well, you know, me doing this to you is okay, and if you don't go with what I'm telling you to do because I'm bigger than you're going to hell, you're going here, or you know, or no one's gonna believe you, type of thing. And it's not just in churches, you know. I've experienced this in my physical life, you know, and I've healed from it. And, you know, Lilith has definitely been helpful in healing that kind of wound, you know. When I first started working with her, she kind of just, I wouldn't say necessarily reprimanded, but it was, she gave me a lecture on, like, you know, me constantly taking on everybody else's karma, or taking the blame for everything, even when I know that it's not my fault, you know. But I'm so used to people telling me that, well, you know, I'm the problem, that I just, you know, learned to, I was conditioned to just take things and just not necessarily, you know, do anything about it. So that's when I started learning to implement my practice in a better way. You know, I had mentioned that I had gone through some things in my I believe sophomore, junior, around there. That was when I had first started diving into witchcraft. But the thing is, I did not know what I was doing at the time. I didn't ask anybody anything, you know. I just, you know, try to do this. I implemented the safest research that I could, and you know, it definitely helped me. But also, but in the process of it, I myself was being broken down, basically, because I still had, because I was operating from a wound and not from truth, not from, you know, not from a good character. I let my past wounds influence my practice, and that's what can sometimes, you know, have some of these practitioners, you know, look very presentable and uncanny, or the complete opposite, just haggard and feral. And I definitely was the second, the second one. I was definitely haggard and feral, and I didn't, you know, I was letting my power control me, and to where I no longer could cultivate it, you know. So in order to make sure that I'm not hurting anybody and not, you know, doing something that's unjust, I decided to just do whatever I could to protect myself, you know, and to illuminate, you know, deception, you know, and I let spirit handle the rest. Yeah, so my intentions are mostly set as, you know, if there is something, if there is negative, unjust energy being projected onto me, send it back or show me who is doing it. And that's how it is, you know, and the same goes for, and like the same rule applies for me. If I'm doing something unjust, I need to learn the lesson as well. So it's fair. My practice is now balanced. And it makes it, well, it wasn't my intention in the first place when I first started, but it is completely impossible for me to have the intention to just be spiteful towards somebody, or to unalive somebody, or to bring bad health to somebody. I decided I want to be a healer and nothing more than that, you know. I'm now in a place where I'm seeing more and I'm feeling more and I know more, you know. And I'm seeing the frequency, I feel the frequency, you know, that I'm on with so many other people like me who understand, you know. And the good thing is I get to move on to the next phase of, you know, of this new experience. As I'm dismantling everything, I'm starting to realize that people may have the question of where do we go when we pass away? All I can really say is that, like, you know, you don't leave here with a heavy heart. Don't leave here carrying some sort of karma. peacefully become one with the earth, you know. If we're speaking in a more scientific sense, where, you know, the body decomposes and then, you know, you start to become one with the soil, you know. It doesn't matter who you're working with or what you're working with. It matters more about the intention. It's always the intention that matters. And it all comes down to, you know, what you're, I like to, you know, break it down into chakras, you know, where your motivation is, you know, in your solar plexus, your motivation, where does the motivation come from? And then, you know, you know, whatever's in your heart, and whatever you're speaking in the throat chakra, and then, you know, and then where your thoughts, your mind, your mind is the most important, you know. Always check your gut. Always check where the motivation is coming from. Because I'm telling you, if you fire anything that's unjust at somebody, it's going to hit you where it hurts. You won't look good, you won't feel good. You won't sound good either. Because you're not operating from good intent. Yes, hurt people, but your wound is not their responsibility at the end of the day. So if you're wanting to practice anything at all, or just in life in general, you know, my thing is, check yourself before you hurt yourself. I believe I did a video Sunday, right? I'm unsure if anybody was channeled in that message, but, you know, I know these last two weren't, no one's here with me, you know. I usually, you know, if need be, I'll channel energies. But you know, this is me. You guys just need to know me a little more, you know. And I know it's scary because you can't burn witches no more. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for today, at least, you know. When I mean a light, that means, you know, something needs to be illuminated, but, you know, in the shadows it's a bit more peaceful, but, right now I think the air needs to be cleared. Anyway, hope this provided you with some clarity for today. I have no idea what I'm going to title this video, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys Sunday. Alright, bye. Happy Halloween, everyone. Oh yes, to add a side note, I'm so sorry. I realized I only mentioned my my craft and what I do, but I never mentioned my spiritual experiences, which they're on my social media page. They're on my social media pages, mostly my threads. Those where I post most of my spiritual stuff on. But there are like 2 instances of me experiencing like paranormal activity at a young age. I was about 6 years old, and yeah, I'm not gonna go too in depth on them, but you know, they're on my social media pages, which I posted in July, on July 5th. But yeah, it was also around the time where I felt like, you know, I was aware of the emotional manipulation I was going through, and I felt the need to want to leave my physical body early, you know. I had a dream that eventually came true, but not in the way that I was expecting, you know, and Mom got angry at me for it and figured that, you know, projected onto me feelings that I was not feeling. And, you know, ever since I became more expressive of my gifts, you know, she's been that's when they started acting out of character. And they started to show themselves And I don't think they realize it. Maybe they do. No, they're aware. But the important thing is that I know there's no way that anyone can really dismantle me, really, you know. There's not a thing in the world. But yeah. This is the end, for real this time. Bye. Seriously.